So you're not going to sit here, you're not going to come in here and plug your ears and call me fucking retarded when you're like, you're obviously being bad faith. There is no world in which you can actually come in and debate someone and you can just say, this is bad because it's bad, and then anyone's going to clap for you. Nobody in the chat is on your side, and nobody that's going to watch this VOD is going to think you're any bit fucking intelligent. This is why you should stick to making fucking terrible Turkey Tom ripoff video essays.
So ongoing drama isn't something I usually talk about because I'm pretty slow to the draw, but this Just a Robot drama has been pretty funny. I planned to make a video about it, but then Kumo, or Kumo Commentary, a small channel involved in this entire drama, has really caught my eye. Now his channel is gone, so someone has to tell his story. We're gonna have to start from the top though, so good luck. On September 1st of this year, a Google document was created discussing the inappropriate interactions with minors that Synnibear03 had. According to the document, Synni, a large content creator in the art commentary community, began a group chat and her own Discord server where she interacted with minors as young as 14 while she was 18 and 19. It also discusses an old allegation of Synni talking inappropriately to someone who was 17 when they were 19. About 2 weeks later, on September 16th, Birdie, Synnibear's roommate, released a video discussing his living situation with Synni, finding out that she was texting inappropriately with a 14-year-old and soliciting donations to help him live on his own. With this video was another Google document alleging that Synnibear groomed a 14-year-old named Eno. To be very specific, since some would disagree with the label of grooming, Synnibear began to engage in continuous, inappropriate interactions with a minor named Eno at age 14. Although not as talkative in the beginning, Synni would spend most of her time speaking to Eno, crafting and detailing highly sexual roleplay scenarios with 3 characters: a self-insert Synni, Nightmare Sans, an alternate universe version of Sans from Undertale, and Boy, a character that appears in a Friday Night Funkin' mod. Not only would Synnibear run through lots of roleplay scenarios, but she would send Eno other roleplays that she had with other people using these characters. She would draw these characters in situations based on the scenarios she described. She allowed and cheered for Eno to make a comic about these roleplays, and drew a comic featuring Boy who abuses and Nightmare Sans. Yeah. As you could have guessed, I did read the latter document, so I passed the vibe check. I did read the first document a little bit, but cared very little for it, so don't expect me to talk about it much. Anyway, this call out seemed to be successful because Birdie made a whopping $11,000 in donations, and Synnibear on the same day made an apology video, owning up to everything she had been accused of.
I've been an irresponsible content creator, and I've been acting inappropriately towards my fans. This alone is enough for me to realize I need to make sweeping changes to how I conduct myself and how I interact with my fans. But the most serious thing I've done is I've groomed a minor.
This is where Kumo Commentary steps in. Romantic Goblin does a stream on the Synnibear stuff, Kumo jumps in and things start to not add up, making him interested in the case. There was a stream before this one that I don't have, but Kumo would stream for 5 hours on September 26. In this stream, he would go over the video Birdie released, skim through the first document, and jump around reading the second document with 2 other people in the call. When it comes to the Birdie video in the first document, Kumo doesn't say anything too crazy, I think. When it comes to Synni and the 14-year-old though, things become very interesting. The biggest problem Kumo would run into is that he and the people later on in the stream would constantly downplay Synni's actions.
It's very clear when you read the messages that Synni has no particular or even any interest at all in Eno in terms of like this inappropriate discussion. Nothing's ever directed or inclusive of Eno in any of these inappropriate discussions. It's all just like very weird venting and oversharing. And like I said on my previous stream, I liken it to locker room girl talk. You know, it's just these 2 chronically online individuals who are in different age groups talking about how hot Joe Schmo up the street is and his washboard abs.
If you have read the DMs, it is crazy to say that this is just locker room girl talk. At best, it is the detailed discussion of characters engaging in acts that both Synni and Eno find sexually attractive. Sure, you could say that it also includes these 2 swooning over fictional video game characters, but that's ignoring all the bad stuff that happens later in the document. Funny enough, when they skip around and read the document, they kinda start to realize that it's a lot worse than they claimed.
What was that? That's just her. Oh, that's the crotch. Okay, that's super inappropriate. Don't know why she sent that one. That's bad. I can't defend that one. These are all still bad.
Lewd.
Super lewd.
Am lewd.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Still not okay. This is not good.
Guys, is not funny.
There's
That's
the eye
crazy.
socket fucking.
That's crazy.
Oh, yeah. I remember this part.
This is probably the most damning evidence that we have, that this document has on Synni. Unfortunately, this is
I
a
had to read
very,
that part.
very, very.
Unfortunately,
bad
but it's
thing.
like Synni censored this, okay?
Despite everything I just said, Kumo does make some good points in the stream. From what I gathered while looking into this and other unrelated dramas, the art commentary community foster these dynamics by making it seem normal that a person as young as 13 can interact with a person that is in their early 20s in this sexual manner, creating sexual art and discussing sexual topics. Every once in a while, someone ends up getting cancelled for doing something that everyone in this community was fine with happening. And then after the videos are made and they get run off the internet, they go back to their discords acting the exact same way and having the exact same interactions that caused the problem. Synni is an example of this. She was 14 when she entered the community, this was normalized to her, and now she's being outed for engaging in this behavior.
Actually, I picked up on something earlier. You know how they like commented about like, I know how it feels to have my NSFW shared without my permission. Happened to me when I was 11.
I'm laughing because that sounds crazy. That sounds like this child has obviously been put in situations where they were encouraged to draw NSFW / they were so exposed to like or not safe for work that they feel the need to express that, which is really, really sad. And I feel bad for this Eno
And these are
person.
two people in the animation meme community who, like, this is a sense of, like, camaraderie that they're trying to build with Synni over this. This is supposed to be a moment of, like, relatability, right? That this is something that happens to people in the community. And it's like,
Also,
well, no, listen. It's established very clearly that these people all start in this community very young. Including Synni. Synni very obviously came into this community very young. And it's very obvious that Synni, you know, thought that this was acceptable. And it doesn't help that they still thought that this was acceptable, and the people that they were surrounded by also thought that this was acceptable, until it was convenient to call Synni out for it.
The thing that you have to be very, very careful about is that even if this is all true, it does not absolve Synnibear of her actions. Synni still continuously engaged highly inappropriately with a minor, and Synni still deserves the backlash and condemnation. This comes back to a flaw I have with Kumo's thinking. As this video goes on, you'll see Kumo continue to defend Synni against the term grooming, and I constantly ask myself, why is Synni the exception? To me, she seems more like a cog in the machine. If what Kumo says is true, it is unfortunate that she was 14, came into this community, and had this stuff normalized. But now she's facilitating these conversations and pushing the idea that this is okay and fine to do with a minor.
I just don't get why, like, Eno had to be this, like, fucking blatantly disingenuous about it. Like, dude, just be upfront about the fact that you were, like, pestering her to send you the shit. She didn't want to send it to you. She thought it was, she literally knew it was inappropriate, and she went as far as to censor some of it before doing the wrong thing anyway, right? But if you were pestering her for it, and you guys were friends, and you, like, spent 3 months trying to get her comfortable enough oversharing like this with you, why the fuck am I supposed to be morally outraged?
You should give moral outrage because Eno is another minor in this community being normalized to these types of interactions, and Synnibear is helping with that normalization. Anyway, in the stream, Kumo's mission statement is made perfectly clear. Although what Synnibear03 did was bad, she is not a pedophile and she is not a groomer. These labels were placed on her maliciously, as audiences don't know what these words actually mean and what implications they carry.
I'm gonna be frank. Synni's a groomer. She's a predator. All of this behavior is predatory, and she knew what she was doing. She knew how old Eno was. She would often like call Eno like, oh baby Eno, fetus Eno. Like, she fucking knew what she was doing. She acknowledged everything she did wrong with Pee-wee and said promised it would never happen again. So the fact that she could acknowledge what she did wrong in that situation goes to show that she knew exactly what she was doing this time.
She was fucking dogpiled by all of you, like, art tards, okay? She was dogpiled by all of you art tards into believing what she was doing was fucking weird and wrong. when they were not only in the same fucking age group, but like
Birdie is a freak who is as bad, if not worse than Synni. By going so hard at Synni and applying labels that don't stick with her, he was able to act without impunity when in fact he did a lot of weird stuff too.
the middle ground. Both are wrong. Yeah, I don't think there's any point in fucking fence sitting, because this is someone's livelihood, and like not even just livelihood. This is someone's life that you guys are casually fucking playing around with, talking about. Like, this person is not only receiving death threats, but like people are like actively condoning that this person be fucking killed with hammers and shit, and doxxed, and all the like everything bad that, you know, your typical YouTube grifters would be like, I disavow. That has been condoned by a lot of the people covering this, and even the people who broke this story. They've all kind of been wishing death on Synnibear. So, being selfish in pursuit of protecting your need to be right all the time. Just know that you're definitely forsaking this person who's really like got it rough. Like, you don't have to like Synni, and you don't have to like, and nobody's saying that Synni is like totally innocent, but like, I think there needs to be a hard stance against Birdie, and like maybe later we can deal with Synni, you know? And I say maybe later deal. I say deal with Synni in heavy quotations, because I don't think Synni is a big deal.
I'm not sure when this happened, so it's going here, but Kumo would stream again debating several people about the situation. It wasn't the best. He still drastically downplays what Synni did.
Talk like what? Wait, hold on. Talk what? You see, we're getting like into that territory where we're acting like this is all two-dimensional. So when you say talk like that to a 14-year-old, do you mean like have an indecent like conversation with them? Or are we talking
they
like
talked about sexual topics with 14-year-olds?
Okay, see, again, we're getting like extremely fucking two-dimensional.
We're really not. That's
we're getting like two-dimensional. We're talking about fucking girl talk here. We're talking about these two were gooning over.
Girl talk, dude?
Yeah, dude, they're sitting here they're sitting here fucking.
What are you talking about?
Oh my god, they
Jesus
were frothing
Christ,
at the. They
dude,
were
you sound
frothing.
retarded right now.
All right, okay, you're retarded. What I'm saying is, it is locker room girl talk. These discussions, if you read these discussions, it is between these two talking about how hot they find a fucking fictional character, not what they're going to do to each other, not what she doesn't even once ask fucking Eno what she's interested in or what her sexuality is. In fact, Eno is like fucking reciprocal and even like mutually having these discussions with Synni.
He gets into definition fights about the intent of grooming, implying that meeting up with the minor or having sex with the minor is the only intent someone can have.
Yeah.
So I'm not really going to call Synni a groomer necessarily, because I think she had the intent of like preparing this kid for like sex, and then when they turned 18 they were going to like go over there and fuck them. Like, probably not. I haven't seen any evidence of that.
See, I agree with that. But that's literally what my whole dispute was.
Sure. I do think the actions that Synni did make the minor susceptible to more sexual conversations and the normalization of sexual conversations with adults. So I think it's grooming.
Yeah,
in
you
that
could
sense.
you could
I don't
argue
think
in the
Synni
grand
herself,
scheme it was a net negative for the child, but like to say it was grooming is like the grooming is the deliberate act.
What if the intent is to share their NSFW artwork, or to get them to draw artwork for you, or to just simply talk inappropriately to them? Now, to be fair, there is a part where Kumo broadens his definition of grooming.
How I define grooming, I think this is grooming because you're encouraging a minor to have like a sexual conversation with an adult. You're normalizing the conversations between adults and minors about NSFW topics, and you're sending them porn, which I think can potentially lead to other things down the line, like porn addiction, or just the normalization of conversations between adults. Like, there was a case a while ago.
I would actually completely agree with that if Eno wasn't already like a porn addict and like desensitized to these things. It wasn't like any of this was like educational or actually desensitizing. So like just simply sending something to someone isn't desensitizing them to it. Can we agree on that?
But he mostly thinks that grooming needs intent, and that intent is being with a minor or trying to meet a minor.
Yeah, I acknowledge that this is really bad.
It's bad, but like, and the censoring doesn't do shit.
because the censoring doesn't change the fact of what's being done, but the censoring does at least speak to Synni's intent.
Yeah.
If nothing else, it at least speaks to Synni's intent, and that's the point I've been trying to make, like, since the fucking stupid debate stream. Is that you require intent, and Synni has done nothing but show the opposite of the intent to, like, prepare this person for anything. But like, we're throwing this word out here, and we're calling it, like, grooming, when there's, like, no clear sign that this person wants a, like, sexual relationship, or a, like, or that this is to, like, form a relationship or a pattern. It's kind of just these two are, like, it's like locker room girl talk if the girls of the locker room were fucking chronically online and didn't go outside, and one of them was, like, extremely socially retarded.
He believes that Synni should stay online, and this is a fine take.
You said that she shouldn't have a YouTube platform. She probably shouldn't be on the internet. And
Yeah, so
all that
I
good
can
stuff.
explain this opinion if you want.
Well, I just kind of want to, like, I think you probably have some like semi-decent reasons. And I'm not going to invalidate those reasons because they're probably just entirely, like, your opinion. And I think it's, like, valid to have a fucking opinion, right? It's like, if it's just your personal opinion, your personal preference, I can't knock you for that. But I'm saying, like, objectively, in terms of, like, scale, a fair repercussion is just calling her fucking weird and telling her not to do it again and then calling it a day.
But he also, during this stream, calls Synni a socially inept loser who can't establish boundaries, and she can't determine on her own if these interactions are fine to have.
Synni is very clearly socially inept, like absolutely socially retarded, and probably doesn't have a good enough filter or sense to understand that, like, this is wrong, because we've already, I don't know why we're selectively acknowledging that people in this animation art community grew up with really weird fucking social standards.
Yeah, I don't think it's a good idea to have this person then stick around online in the communities that foster these dynamics. I'm still trying to figure out why Synni is the exception.
She probably very likely, because, like, these guys all start off as little kids in this community. She probably very likely just assumed that, like, it was okay because everyone else does it. Synni is far from the only person who has this sort of misconduct. And that's why, like, I the one thing I agreed with is that it's very likely that everyone even talking about Synni doing this has done something equivalent or worse. Because the only reason Synni would ever find this acceptable is if there was an example.
Yeah, that's probably the case with everyone in the community, but what made Synni special? Why stick your neck out for her when the defense really boils down to everyone does it in that community, but Synni is directly targeted by Birdie? Which leads us to the last thing I'd like to bring up. Kumo strongly believes that this is a gay op. You're gonna hear him explain it, but the evidence he has for this is that in the DMs from the Google document, we see the first time Eno messaged Synni. In the message, she makes it clear that she is a friend of Soph and was sent by her to ask what was okay to be shared with the public. Soph is the person who originally accused Synni of being a for dating a 17-year-old when she was 19. Soph is also the one who gave Birdie the Eno and Synni DMs, which then led to the creation of the Google Doc. That's why in the DMs, Synni wasn't really engaging with her the first 3 months, because she knew that Eno and Soph were friends. During these 3 months, Eno was desperately trying to get Synni's attention and trust, and once she mentioned the boy character, she got it. It's also strange that Soph would send Eno, a 14-year-old, out to talk to Synni, who they believed is a pedophile.
With Synni, what do you mean by it's a gay op?
Oh yeah, I was actually yapping about that before you joined. So the person who even got a hold of the DMs between Eno and Synni and immediately, like, took it to Birdie was someone who previously accused Synni of being a pedophile for dating a 17-year-old when she was 19. And we're talking like a 17-and-a-half-year-old. And that person did that, it failed. That person, Soph the Neko, did that, it failed, and then now, I think it was September 6th, someone else who was related to Soph the Neko, like, in terms of association, made another fucking terrible Google Doc to expose Synni.
Because they falsely accused him in the past, they would have some malice and.
Oh, it's very obvious. Actually, in fact, Eno reaching out to Synni. Synni only knew Eno as someone who was friends with Soph. And Synni was very standoffish with Eno for, like, the first 3 months that they were ever in contact. They only spoke for, like, a total of 6. So for, like, half of that, Synni didn't talk to them. But Eno like spent the first half of their DMs for like 3 months straight, very dry, very clear that Synni is disinterested and unresponsive, trying really desperately to get Synni's trust and to get Synni to open up. And it just, all of it entirely smells like a gay op. Why would this person that these guys all believe to be a fucking, like danger to kids or groomer because they dated a 17-year-old, why would they then send their, like, 14-year-old friend to go contact this person? Not to mention, they knew that this person was in contact with Eno. They were just trying to dispute who knew how old Eno was, which I also reasonably doubt.
The idea that the gay op part was to put Synni in a situation like this, or that it was a gay op when they decided to release the information, could be plausible. The bigger issue I have with this is that Kumo has more information that isn't public that proves that it was a gay op.
Not to mention, they knew that this person was in contact with Eno. They were just trying to dispute who knew how old Eno was, which I also reasonably doubt. And we have there will be shit coming out that does like answer a lot of these questions, and a lot of the answers that we get to these questions also contribute to my theory that this is all just a gay op. I think potentially the 14-year-old was groomed by the people levying the allegations to be in this situation.
Yeah, I mean, I think to prove a gay op, you just have to have a lot, right? I feel like you have to have like intent by it. You have to have people like borderline admitting that it's a gay op, right? Unless I see like this 14-year-old.
Do they have to admit that it's a gay op, or can we just get proof of them like being like conniving and plotting shit in the?
I mean,
does that
borderline
work too?
admittance. So yeah, like something about
conniving. Okay, so what if I told you we have that?
If you're not willing to publicize.
Oh no,
it's
it's going to be publicized. It's like literally like the entire point.
If I cannot look at it like right now, I can't say anything about it.
So question, why aren't you making the video? You're debating people about what you believe, but they don't have access to your evidence. Stop streaming, stop tweeting, stop going on breaks, go make the video. Synni uploads a video called My Response Part 1 on September 30th where she takes back her apology and attempts to defend herself. Her defense against Birdie/Jack seemed fine. She also tries to defend herself against the groomer claims, which doesn't go so well.
I did not groom Eno. It honestly feels like everyone has their own definition of what grooming is, which is so fucking dangerous. But smart people define child grooming as the act of deliberately establishing a relationship with a child to prepare them for abuse.
Why would you go down a checklist? Grooming is such a weird term, especially online, and now you're fighting with people who don't understand it. Then you're also fighting against your own admission of the act, point by point.
Inappropriate communication. The examples given are asking for secrets to be kept, using sexual language the child may not understand, and educating the child on the subject. I will not deny that my conversations were inappropriate and I shouldn't have been having them, like, to begin with. The only instance of me asking them to keep something a secret would be me saying to them, please don't tell the public I'm depraved. The secret's kinda just out now, I don't care anymore. I never intended to keep our relationship a secret. That was never even something I was intending to hide. It was also never my intention to educate Eno on any particular, like, sex shit. I don't know. Now that I think about it, majority of the inappropriate conversations we had revolved around sadomasochism and, like, sadistic fantasies, not really sex.
Like, cool dude, our checklist says that you have to have sex conversations with the kid and teach them sex stuff. But I didn't do that. I just talked about sadomasochist roleplay scenarios that are sexual in nature and that I find sexually attractive. Let's just move on. That same day, ChudLogic reacts to the new Synni video and then has Kumo on to chat with him. This is where he says that he has been in contact with Synni from the start and helped her with the response video she just released.
We're reacting to this on a friend's stream, and I had no fucking clue what any of this was about, but I just heard so much gay shit, and I started asking questions, and I think I have autism, so I just couldn't stop asking the questions, and then I think we talked to Synnibear because Evan got us in contact with her, and then watching your stream because coincidentally the next day you were streaming, and I was like, oh, well, because I came to my conclusion, and I helped Synni make this video. Unfortunately, she didn't listen to me that much, but she did at least use a majority of my like revised version of her script.
Yeah, I think, you know, what in terms of like the addressing the grooming allegation point by point, was that something that you came up with, or?
Yeah, but So the really bad parts that you immediately took issue with, I literally I didn't put that in there. So
Well, you say that now.
we
I
have
mean,
a-
come on, dude.
No, okay, I can send you I revised her entire script. This shit was gonna be like a multi fucking feature length film, like multi-hour special if I didn't revise this for her.
Other than that, there's not much to talk about at the moment. Kumo still kind of downplays what Synni did, but overall he sounds a lot stronger against it.
Yeah, sure. I mean, how would you characterize the interaction between Synni and this 14-year-old person?
I think it was very fucking inappropriate and grossly negligent, but at the same time, I didn't read this and think, oh, this grown woman is trying to lure and fucking groom this child. And I kind of read it as oh, these are two chronically online individuals talking about how hot Joe Schmo up the street is in very inappropriate and colorful detail. And I think Synni is absolutely retarded for even engaging in these discussions. But I don't think she at all had any predatory motivation or any intentions of doing any of this. And that's kind of where I got my take that I wouldn't call it grooming, because even the people that accuse her of it say, I don't think you intended to groom someone. You can't groom someone on accident. It's a deliberate act that requires intent. And I think you can still condemn Synni. I've condemned Synni. I think she deserves backlash, and I think she should actually have repercussions and take responsibility going forward. But I don't think you need to call her a pedophile and fucking preach to the choir about how pedophiles need to be kicked from rooftops. I think it's all just very overblown.
Bro, I mean, I this is, I obviously covered the Mama Max stuff, and it was the kind of we don't like pedophiles, and it's yeah.
Guys, pedophiles are bad.
Yeah, and yeah, I think your characterization is extremely reasonable.
He realizes that it is an uphill battle because Synni already apologized.
But the problem is admitting to it puts a big hole in your defense, and I think a lot of people are not going to care about the response. They're going to just be like, "Oh, well, Synni admitted to it."
Yeah, the first things I said to her when I got in contact with her is that she fucked herself.
They talk about Birdie, which Chud is already in agreement with.
But there was definitely problems with Birdie's video, and I think particularly the kind of sexual assault claim when there was discussion of it being consensual. I definitely have my doubts. Well, yeah, exactly.
The one thing I take issue with is this.
I'm honestly, my motivations, if I can just be transparent, I don't want or really, I don't have the goal to fix Synni's reputation and make it squeaky clean. My ulterior motive here is I just want to shit on Birdie, and I think we get Synni out of the way and we clear the shit up about Synni, and we can talk about the more interesting stuff about Birdie. I think that's significantly more entertaining.
This is something Kumo is going to stick with to the very end, but why do we have to get Synni out of the way? Why can't we just talk about Birdie? One reason could be because the audience and viewers wouldn't be willing to listen to anything about Birdie in regards to Synni. They already view Birdie as the right person in the situation and Synni as the wrong one. Problem with this is that Kumo admits that the art commentary audience is already cooked, already biased against her, and not willing to change their mind. So it's best to reach out to a different audience, like the ones that watch broader commentary, because they'd be more willing to hear out her case.
If these are art tards, they're just an angry hive mind that collectively share one brain cell. No matter, even if I magically brought some proof that all of this was I don't know, photoshopped or some shit, this audience would still find a goalpost to move to. And I'm saying that hypothetically. I told her don't feed into it. You're not going to reclaim this audience, and honestly, you shouldn't want to, because this is how they treat you at the drop of a hat. I don't know why you would want to appease them. And so my suggestion was people that she, has knee-jerk reactions to because she's super fucking autistically liberal. I said, maybe appeal to someone that isn't your crowd then. And so that's why I was just be fucking blunt. Don't be emotional or empathetic. Just be blunt and straight to the point, because these guys aren't going to be here to listen to that.
But if that's the case, why not just take that advice, make a video about Birdie, and tailor it to that wider commentary audience? Why complicate the equation by making sure the stuff with Synni is out of the way? Another reason could be because Synni has valuable information on Birdie that Kumo can use.
Synni's gonna have to better herself, and I just want to shit on Birdie. I want to get into this Birdie shit because it's really entertaining to me, and I don't want to drive Synni off the internet because Synni has a lot of useful insight and access to even like screenshots and like DMs and shit that are going to be very useful for anyone who wants to like look into Birdie.
We still run into the same issue though. Why can't you just collect your info from Synni, then make the Birdie video? The best reason is that the Synni situation with the 14-year-old can be seen as an indictment on Birdie's character. The way she went about it was terrible, as she prescripted an unjust label to Synni and then collected a huge check, all while treating Synni terribly. But everyone is going to look past the bad stuff Birdie did to Synni because she's a groomer.
Birdie, I mean, was accused of grooming in similar kind of circumstances and ages, roughly, to what Synni was. And is it correct that Synni stayed by Birdie during that? Do you know?
Yeah, because I think it's wildly inappropriate. Like, that is true. And I think for the same reason that, like, I don't think Synni's a pedophile, I'm not going to call Birdie a pedophile. But where I get annoyed at, like, the lack of charitability is, like, it was all given to Birdie back then, but not to Synni. Is like the bare minimum to be diagnosed with pedophilia is you have to be like a 15-year-old. So to be like 16 talking to like a middle schooler is kind of wild in my opinion. But that definitely is, to my understanding, it's very true that happened.
And this is kind of fine, but you could just make the Birdie video and have a section talking about how she mishandled the Synni situation. Why do we have to address it separately and get it out of the way? Other than that, the interview was fine, Kumo seemed fair and rational, and Chud didn't disagree with anything, so he didn't give him any pushback.
God, I tell you, it's so weird when I'm speaking to someone. I mean, I don't have any personal significant disagreements. But then people in chat are like, oh, they're getting like, perturbed by a certain point.
Now it's time for me to be honest with you. I did not read the entire DM Synni had with the minor. Well, kinda. I did read the entire document in the DMs that came along with them, but that was all I had. That was until Synni's response video, where in the description, she linked her entire conversation between herself and Eno, which means that people were now able to skim through them and see what really happened. I don't have access to these DMs, but on October 7th, Chud skims through the logs, so the messages come from there. The messages start with Eno trying to chat with Synni while she just ignores her or barely responds. Things only get interesting when Eno comments on Boy, the fictional video game character Synni is obsessed with. After that, they both start to talk a lot more about various stuff like drama or art they're working on, or they would talk about this Boy character like he was just another guy.
This is what is being referred to when they say it's like two people just doing the whole like, oh, isn't he hot? Aren't they hot? Da 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 da. You see what I mean? Like it's like girlies talking, but it's still inappropriate. But it's like, this is where I think that characterization comes from. This part here, I believe.
Now maybe Kumo didn't read the full DMs and stopped here, but this is where things get crazy. They start talking about this character more and more, but then Synni kinda has a mental check and asks for Eno's age again.
Jack is going first because I'm slow. Also, Eno, how old are you? Hang on a sec. Hang on. Asking the age again. That's weird, isn't it? That is an odd thing to do. Would that not suggest that this Synni person is thinking a certain something about the nature of this conversation that they're asking the age? The asking of the age is like a recognition of the inappropriateness of this then.
She then not only continues to talk about these sexual scenarios with Eno, but she teases her about being a minor and continuously asks if she's comfortable with her describing these scenarios, becoming more sexual each time she asks.
So, Law, the king and queen of time and space, have been looking for NM for a long, long time, but somehow avoided getting captured. But Synni calls Boy, and suddenly they know where he is. They send Boy there to punish. More complicated than that, it's a job to do, but so recognises the fact that it's inappropriate, but then alludes to sexual stuff here. What the fuck? Why are you saying this, dude? You just recognised how inappropriate it is, and you're dancing around it now, but still saying something that's weird and inappropriate. He knows I'm sympathetic and can't handle seeing people in pain. He tries to keep me away. The lighter punishments are less hidden. So, like, if you're comfy with me telling you, so we go another level. There's another pushing of the boundary, moving to the next level. Are you comfortable with this? BDSM time. Lightest punishment is maybe NM is being rude or loud or obnoxious. Boy just making fun of Nightmare, embarrassing him. Maybe he sits on him. NM chair, yeah, pretty much. NM is just kind of a brat. No, if NM refuses to comply, Boy just manhandles him. Boy had a voice grip. If he grabs them, they won't be able to shake him. It's immovable. He has a voice grip. He's stupid strong. Okay, so I headcanon boy can clone himself. It lets him visit more children at once. And he can threesome with me.
That's not even the crazy part. All of Synni's DMs were in this export, including very recent ones from after the doc against her came out. And the last of these messages are just Synni and Eno talking until Eno decides to cut it off.
Synni? 1 second, my life is being ruined. My life is ruined. This 14th of September. What happened? Jack is leaving me. Everything is falling apart and it's my fault. Jack is heartbroken. Can you please relay to me what happened, how it happened? Jack doesn't feel safe living with me. I groomed you. Also, God, how crazy is it that Synnibear is then putting it on this person's shoulders? This 14-year-old is having this massive weight put on their shoulders. I groomed you. My housemate is leaving me because of this. What the fuck, dude?
Oh man. This paints the situation in a new light, as you can now make a stronger case for it being grooming. The continuous pushing of boundaries to introduce more sexual conversation, and then coming back to speak to the minor are the big things for me.
Just let me know if it crosses a line, involves ass. Bro, slowly pushing the boundary, slowly, and it's up to the 14-year-old to decide. It's up to the 14-year-old to decide whether or not it's crossing a boundary. You're leaving it in their court. You're not as an adult going, no, we're not doing this because it goes across a line that we shouldn't go across. Alongside having the conversation. Also, I've got to be honest with you. I think looking at the full messages, I think that Kumo guy should reassess this. I mean, bro, I hadn't read all the DMs, obviously, so I was going off a lot of what he was talking about, you know. And I'm like, okay, I can see where he's coming from. And my point was mainly like, it seems stupid to split hairs over this when it's so bad. But no, dude, this is like, you know, bearing in mind the person knows that they're 14. It makes it so, like, this is grooming type, like, this is like grooming type language, no?
On October 3rd, Streamline Workshop posted some of the logs they believed are grooming on Twitter. Honey, sweetie, thank you for thinking of me and trying to comfort me. Right now, I think I should work on the response. I don't want you to worry about me right now. I'm okay. No, I'm okay right now. I love you. I love you too. Eno, can I call you? I don't think I could be alone. Sure. I love you. Good night. Talk to you later. Hi, I came home. Hi, I'm from work. I made some art for you at school. Do you want to see? Sure. So I'll be honest, I think I need to stop talking to you. You don't need me around. I caused you so much pain and you don't deserve to have me around. I still love you. I care about you. I don't want to block you in case you have an emergency or something. I don't know, it feels like cutting you off completely would be a bad idea. I know you don't have many friends and I've become your favorite person. I don't want to hurt you by leaving and I don't want to hurt you by staying. It's a difficult situation. I shouldn't be venting to you like this. I should have never showed you all my sexual fantasies. I should have kept my conversations with you strictly PG, but I didn't and I will never stop being sorry for doing that to you. I can't comprehend how this will affect you. I want you to be safe. I want everyone to be safe. I don't know if you'll be safe if I stick around and keep messaging you. If you want to block me, you can. I want you to make the choice. I'm only choosing to keep you because I know you have BPD and I've seen how it affects Jack. Jack is Birdie, by the way. I don't want you to do anything crazy. Please know I'm here for you if you want me, and I'll leave if you want me to leave. I don't want you to feel like you need me. I won't be popping into your DMs for any reason other than checkups. I hope you understand this is for your safety. I love you. I'm sorry I did this to you. I saw your status. Can you please call me? I don't want you to do anything irrational, please. Please, Synni, I'm scared. I love you. I love you so much. I'm not going to leave. I want you to stay. Stay. Jack is gone. I never got to say goodbye to him. I'm so sorry. All of this is so sudden. I love you. I'm going to bed. Don't do anything stupid because I'm here for you. So these are insane. This kind of paints the situation in a new light because the case against grooming is much stronger now. And this is going to be a pretty big hit on Kumo because he's the one defending Synni from the term groomer when it now sticks a bit harder. This is even worse when you consider the fact that before October 1st, when Synni released her response video, Kumo had all of these logs. He was the one who showed Synni how to export them.
Any claims of like grooming from Birdie, I had to be skeptical about. And so we made Synni show us the entirety of her DM logs, which we taught her how to export, and they should be available in the description.
Now, is it reasonable for Kumo to have read the entire logs? Yeah, kinda. He's about to stand on the position that to many seems very insane. so I think that he'd want to do all the research he could and make sure it's worth it. Kumo sees the tweet Streamline Workshop made, and the next day he makes a community post addressing it. Today I'm popping my head back in to state that I have seen the thread from Streamline. While I disagree with the particulars, I actually have my own issues with the paragraph that I didn't read, and that's a big fuck up on my part. The Discord is very obnoxious, but upon seeing my error, I'm very glad I never defended Synni. This, however, doesn't mean I'm rescinding my take. I just don't have the patience to argue any longer, and my sympathy for Synni is about dried up upon reading this. In any other context, I would call it a breakup letter, and though the signs of grooming aren't a checklist, but this ticks one of the boxes. I overlooked something that reads to me like she was making this kid feel special, and that's my bad. I'm no longer going to correct anyone about Synni's mistake, but I'm still coming for Birdie when y'all are done. Anyway, back to my break. You can stop screeching and claiming I ever defended her. But you did defend her. Sure, you said that what she did was disgusting and inappropriate and not wise to do, but you defended people using the term groomer on Synni while also downplaying what she did on stream. You also had access to the logs, and alarms didn't go off when you realized that Synni had contacted the minor after the document was dropped.
It's very irresponsible, very inappropriate, and you know, like Synni being socially inept, it can only go so far, right? And so, of course, it's fine for there to be some social backlash, but what I disagree with is accusations of like grooming and like calling this person a pedophile, when the basis doesn't, like when the basis are DM logs, like cropped screenshots of DM logs that don't support that notion. So when I read those DMs, I just see two girls in like different age group aside. I just see two women like fawning over like Joe down the street and his washboard abs, you know?
Let's be fair to Kumo though. It is harder to sell the idea of grooming only using the original document. It's all just cropped screenshots showing the crazy sexual stuff Synni was sending to this person, but it didn't show the moment she knew about the age and then her attempting to push up that boundary. And obviously it didn't show the messages after the document where Synni continued to talk to the minor. So when Kumo is arguing against people on Twitter or on his streams about the grooming label, the point is that they don't really know what grooming is, and the document doesn't show any such act. Doesn't ignore the fact that he had the entire logs though.
And there's all sorts of shit, like the DMs, that like the whole like 14-year-old narrative, Synni did not groom them, you know? They were saying that Synni did, and they're taking it heavily out of context that Synni was like posting censored like NSFW content that was asked for by the 14-year-old. And Synni only ever like caved and sent it censored because like they kept persisting and begging.
Birdie on Twitter replies to the Streamline tweet. Hi, I just remembered this comment exists and I'd like to correct everybody. He lied about this for whatever reason and is encouraging her to make bad decisions in private. Kumo responded with a much longer thread. Funny enough, you're saying I'm lying while Streamline is directly misquoting me because I never said that. You should really stop claiming I've defended Synni because if I were her lawyer, the first thing I said was, Your Honor, my client is guilty AF. Synnibear is extremely impulsive and overly hypersexual, to the point that she is not only a danger to herself but everyone around her. She engaged in sexual misconduct involving a minor. Correcting you about using grooming as a fashionable term is very important, because what Synni did is worse. You need to call it what it is, because you can't solve the problem if you're mislabeling it. Synni is also very autistic and hopelessly lacking in social awareness. Every time she opens her mouth and over-explains, she just makes it sound worse. It is ironic to me that anyone is acting like this is a surprise that I want to tear into Birdie and co with my reputation of going after Leo Convey before. And if you think about it for 2 seconds, why wouldn't I be critical of people effectively doing the same shit? Firstly, the GoFundMe is a scam. Secondly, platforming the child and refusing to involve parents and law enforcement, making videos about this and creating a spectacle. This is internet vigilantism, and it should have been very obvious I was going to be critical of the accusers. Anyway, hop off tip already, you fucking window licker. You've created the illusion that I've ever defended Synni, and you weaponize your angry mob of child audience to silence anyone that is critical of you. Even the people who are also critical of Synni. Like I've said, because Synni isn't a child predator, I feel comfortable encouraging better habits and assuring she doesn't delude herself. She doesn't need to be isolated, because if you genuinely believe she's a predator, isolation only makes it worse. But the way I see it, she needs proper support. And if she has any chance of not being a nuisance in the future, being alone with her own thoughts isn't what you want either. Plus, with the life ruination, she's also more likely to be driven to I've lost patience in arguing with brick walls and pseudo-intellectuals, leaving me multi-paragraph essays with flawed logic, and I've lost patience with Synni because she's very stubborn and so inept that she's destructive to her own cause through very poor word choice. Synni is too retarded to have understood that her parasocial attachments to people have been a problem. The way she got attached to Eno is very similar to her attachments to other people, and it's only been used to suggest a pattern of grooming behavior, and it's a big problem. Interesting, he says that people need to not call Synni a groomer because what Synni did was worse, and you can't solve a problem that is mislabeled. This was not a take Kumo had before, which is okay, we can change, but let's not pretend this was his argument the entire time. The take was the label was misplaced because it was too extreme and led to wrong outcomes, not because that it wasn't extreme enough.
I think there needs to be a hard stance against Birdie, and like maybe later we can deal with Synni, you know? And I say maybe later deal. I say deal with Synni in heavy quotations because I don't think Synni is a big deal.
And like as I said, I could be wrong.
I just wouldn't call it pedo shit. I would just say it was like I'd just say it was irresponsible and like negligent. I think you can call her a fucking like weird like gooner, but not a groomer. You know what I mean? It's the implications. You don't have to like it. I don't fucking like it. I've been critical of her over this fact, and it's not like I'm here sweeping for Synni. Like I have negative criticisms of Synni. I heavily disagree with people that are calling it like philic or grooming or anything of the sort. And that's sort of what I'm here to disagree about. People like you guys, I understand like you guys were like coming at me all at the same time and like the Twitter replies. And none of you really had to read what you were typing aloud, and so it's probably really easy to just like loop round and round and not actually consider what someone else is saying. And so that's why I'm opening the floor here today. I actually completely agree with the notion that like it's irresponsible, it's like grossly negligent, and it's very degenerate. But I don't agree with calling it like predatory. Like I can call a spade at the end of the day. I don't need to call Synni the absolute extreme for me to be a negative critic of to be a negative critic of Synni's actions.
He appeared on Himpleton's stream on October 6th to debate him. Then he would come back and debate Leia something. You knew it was going to be bad from the start when he admitted that he didn't read the DMs.
So, Kumo, have you read all of the DMs that Synni dropped?
I read the parts pertaining to what people were saying was grooming. I did not care enough to look into what she was saying after the fact because, it just read as platonic and I didn't want to read the whole fucking paragraph. But after the fact, I do understand why people have knee-jerk reactions to it, and in any other context. Oh yeah, so it read off as very platonic. And I understand the knee-jerk reactions in regards to that paragraph. In any other context, I would have said it was a breakup letter. But I understand the context as well that Synni is very autistic and socially inept, and she's not very socially aware of how things come off. And there's like a lot of weird, like cringy /P, and like there's kissy faces, but like /P. And these two are just very like parasocial. And like the big reason why I was so agitated with Synni is because I didn't see this before. And I definitely would have like toned it down with the approach that when I was saying I don't understand how anyone's reading this and thinking it's group.
Okay.
If they don't acknowledge all the other context.
Yeah. And the full DMs outside of the did you just a double check here. Did you read stuff that wasn't in the Google Doc?
Yeah, I read stuff that wasn't in the Google Doc to contextualize it, yeah.
Okay. What is your thoughts specifically? Because I know that you said that just the kind of the discussing of the fantasies and stuff like that was locker room talk. What is your thoughts on the comic? Specifically?
Well, in any other context, I would assume you're in any other context, I would have made a rape joke by now, but no, it's not really my cup of tea. I think it's I personally, if you're asking my personal opinion,
I'm asking if you think it's okay for a 20-year-old to be sending that to a 14-year-old.
I was about to answer your question.
Sorry,
before you loaded
go ahead.
But before you loaded it, yeah, no.
Oh, I'm so sorry, dude.
It's completely. it's literally sexual misconduct with a minor. It's something that she should have been reported to the police for, and given everything else, that's now an impossibility. So
Okay. Wait. Sorry, did you just say that it was something that should have been reported to the police for?
yeah. Is there?
What?
Are we having some
wait.
kind of disconnect?
How do you have that take and you
And I
helped
what?
make her a script and stuff?
Oh, well, because I only revised her script, and I told her to keep it very concise and down to what she needed to address.
No, Kumo.
like-
Did you know about the rape comic before you revised the script?
Yeah.
That you just said that should be reported to the police.
Yes.
So why did you, if that's your genuine belief, and remember on ChudLogic you said that it was locker room talk.
Yeah, that doesn't take away from the severity of the wrongdoing.
Yeah, it does. What? Especially when that is your main takeaway.
Your device, only your cell phone and your laptop. Turn that in. Say that this is evidence. I have committed a crime, and then go from there.
So what made you decide to help her if you believe that something illegal?
I really don't like the way people phrase that I'm helping her. I know I've said I'm helping her.
But you did.
I know I've said I'm helping her, but
But you are helping her. Without her help, I don't even know if she would have taken back her apology and issued a response because no one was on her side.
I've been speaking to some individuals who are very critical of me, but they've been fair. They disagreed with the idea that this was grooming because one of them, who goes by Kumo, thought something was off about the evidence that was used to back up the claim. Kumo has been very critical of child predators and people who enact performative vigilante justice online for validation or personal gain. It was explained to me that my understanding of grooming was clearly warped, and these conversations just sounded like, I'm quoting Kumo, locker room girl talk.
He says later that her response was all over the place and needed to be refined for it to be more susceptible.
You can't even say that I'm defending her, and so somehow me helping her is supposed to be a bad thing. When the context of how I'm helping her, could never be called enabling. You helped her with the script. And what was the script in question? That I sent MRAW, but I tried to send you. It was the script in question was me helping her clear the air and set the record straight and then take responsibility for what she did. What she did was actually much worse. When have I said it wasn't inappropriate?
You deemed it as locker room girl talk, Kumo.
I literally said that is inherently inappropriate.
You minimalized it as locker room girl talk.
I did not minimalize it. What are you talking about? I
By
said it was
saying
I said
locker
it was a
room girl
crime.
talk, by describing it as locker room girl talk.
I literally called it a crime.
You described it as locker room girl talk. You described it as locker room girl talk.
Yes, as opposed to describing it as grooming. A deliberate act. Literally a deliberate act that requires intent. The intent in question would have been to prepare this child for something. That was the direct comparison as to why why it wasn't grooming. But it doesn't mean that a crime wasn't committed. You're saying, I don't understand. Your circular logic here just doesn't make any fucking sense to me. Because you're asserting that because I called it something different that wasn't grooming, that I'm downplaying it. When literally in the same breath on every live stream I've fucking done and every stream that I've featured on and post that I've made, it's pretty much in the same breath that I say that what she did was a crime.
For the live streams I've seen, being the 5-hour stream going over everything, and the 2 streams debating people, Kumo has never called it a crime. So I actually did one more pass of the stuff I have, and Kumo did at one point say it was a crime.
Okay, to clarify, because earlier you and I bickered about it, that is bad. I just don't, I'm not going to call it grooming if it's not grooming. We can call it what it is without, being false accusations.
Okay, it
Where's the I literally said that earlier. Where's the
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still a crime. It's still a sex offense. And it's still in a, very, predatory. It's just to call it grooming is, wild. Because it's, you don't like the predator doesn't have to groom the child for there to be a relationship there.
Yeah.
So chat, solicitation is a crime on its own. It doesn't have to be grooming. I don't, maybe there's like a disconnect in like the commentary space where people forget that there are different crimes under this umbrella, but there are different crimes under this umbrella.
So there he says that it's a crime and a sex offense, but it doesn't really matter to me because this stream was when Kumo was figuring everything out and pre-city contact. That's why I didn't watch it. It would be unfair to judge him based on points he didn't flesh out yet. Later on, he doesn't mention anything about Synni committing crimes.
It's Synni censored this, okay? And I don't know.
It is censored, so like technically no crimes are being committed. However, this is still like not good.
However,
it's not appropriate whatsoever.
Leia, you don't care about children.
I don't. I don't care about Synni.
No, you don't care about the victimization of children.
I do. I do care
you don't.
about children.
Hold on. No. You don't, because you're criticizing someone who's trying to help someone who has potentially victimized a child get better when the alternative is not helping them and they get worse and potentially do it again.
We could play these what if scenarios all day, and helping her not have the worst outcome possible is fine, but going through the process of crafting a response doesn't really fit into that plan. Why keep her looped in? Just help her with her stuff privately, stop debating people, and make the birdie video. This is where the Just a Robot stuff slides in, so quick recap time. Jar decides to make a video about the Synni situation, but as he looks into things like Kumo streams and the previous docs, as well as recalls some of his previous dramas where someone is accused of something they didn't do so Jar defends them, he reaches out to Synni to get her side of things. Problem is that Jar's conclusion was already baked in before he contacted Synni, so when they do chat, he is very friendly and charitable, to the point where the both of them are just collaborating on the video. He does, let's just say, strange things, like asking for a call so he can sleep, which comes off as flirty, and overall, he just got way too close to the case. Kumo figures out that they've been chatting, he somehow gets a hold of Jar's video and leaks it early. In the description, he says, "Since Jar can't be caught dead admitting that he's effectively parroting things I've said on stream, taking shots at me while doing so, Jar happens to lose the entire fucking plot in this unreleased video about Synnibear03 drama, going as far as to actually downplay and defend Synni, which is something I have never done. And I'm friends with her. This video will be getting added to the already planned video on Jar, and for the record, I vehemently warned Synni against talking to this guy. Please watch this video in its full, and I encourage streamers to watch this live. And it's no wonder why a guy who can't take no for an answer is trying to play savior to Synni. Synni, you better not backstab me is wild." In a panic, Jar properly releases his video on Synni. Chud watches it on stream and it's bad. Chud gets sent all of Jar's and Synni's DMs by Kumo and they're crazy. Chud talks to Jar on stream where he takes back everything and deletes the video, and then Kumo comes on to chat with Chud.
But I'm sure you can understand that there's some people that are gonna view that negatively.
I think the outrage. I think the outrage is just like completely justified, actually. And I don't look at what Synni did and go, "Oh, it wasn't that bad." Like it's like, it makes me uncomfortable to fucking read.
He said the exact opposite. Great start.
I remember we got to see like the entirety of her DMs with Eno, and I think she even showed us the bad parts. Like, Goblin, do you remember when we were all in VC and she like showed us the shit that they all had censored? And we were like, oh, it's not actually that bad.
A big thing from this stream was that Kumo was helping Synni and offering her support, which is something we already knew.
Yeah, could you just elaborate on that for me? Because I'm sure that there's people that would feel like quite uncomfortable with this idea that you're friendly with this person. So like, what's the exact situation there? What's your view on that?
We give her, well, it's myself and like a few other people that I'm friends with. It's not like, we're not like babying Synni. We're not telling her everything's going to be okay. In fact, we're very like real with her about it. Like, I've said numerous times, like, Synni, I don't think it's in the cards for you to come back to YouTube or content creation. Like, we're not like giving her these delusions. That's actually why my word choice with Jar was like giving her this false hope, is because we're not like encouraging Synni to like, when I tell Synni she needs to reclaim her life, I'm not saying she needs to come back from these allegations and like her reputation is going to be squeaky clean. I mean, she like shouldn't waste away in isolation, not fucking cleaning herself and skipping her meds and just like being a total fucking degenerate because she like fell in a ditch, you know? Like, I think at the very least she should like at least move forward with her real life.
And I think that's okay. When that sex offender gets out of prison, I'm not going to fault the parents or family members for trying to help them get back on their feet. And obviously what Synnibear did was less egregious than that, so her having someone in her corner is perfectly fine. But here's the big thinker question. Should you be the one to put yourself in that situation to help them out if you're an outsider? Let's see what Kumo says.
Like at the end of the day, I care enough to make sure she's not like dying on the streets or like being alone and then seeking relationships and then potentially getting into contact with another child. Like I care enough to make sure to ensure that doesn't happen. But like I can.
But why are you so concerned? Why do you care? No, that I appreciate the gesture to do that, and I think, you know, just for the sake of transparency, it may be worth you doing that so everyone can see the full picture. But why do you care? Why do you care so much about Synni? What's the reason for that?
Oh, it's not even like something like, oh, I have a personal investment in Synni. It's just like I see the situation, and like just granted, like I guess it's more of like an empathetic, not towards Synni, but towards like the concept of what's going on. That I think it's like wrong, and I'm not like coming at this like with my personal beliefs. I'm coming at this like with just as much facts as I can. In my coverage of it.
I suppose that's fine. We'll let it slide for now and push forward because this conversation will be important when compared to the next things coming up. The conversation ended well with Chud understanding Kumo a bit more. However, the stream was not over. To be transparent, Kumo sent Chud his DMs with Synni, which he then looked over briefly. It was pretty funny.
So for now, can you just focus on getting through work? Not for me, for yourself, okay? My name is Getting Dragged Through the Mud. I know it's holding Jack accountable. Sweetheart, I'm on your side. Ooh. Bro. Sweetheart, bro. Oh.
The DMs between Kumo and Synni were interesting. It had some of the stuff Kumo said he was doing, like helping her with the response video and helping her with police reports, but it had a much friendlier tone than people were expecting and friendlier than what he implied.
Yeah, at the end of the day, like I think a lot of people misinterpret my like friendship with Synni to be like some like super close, like I care about her, like I care deeply about her kind of thing. It's really just like the concept of it is important. Like it is objectively a net negative for like nobody to like be in her corner and like at all like give her advice. Like my advice towards Synni hasn't been like shit that's going to dig her out of the hole she's in, you know? Like it's been like about filing reports and like fucking taking inventory,
relating to her on a deeper level and trying to become her friend, lots of coaching and theory crafting of new narratives.
Synni, do you smoke like weed? I don't smoke, firmly against it. Any kind of drug, I don't think I covered all of this exactly. Any kind of drugs, weed, gummy, knowingly, yeah. Wait, why are you asking me this? Do you have a history of narcotics? Nothing bad or that would worry you? Heart. I do not. I've only ever... Bear in mind, this is 3rd of October. We're talking like, you know, just over 2 weeks ago. So it's not even that long ago that this conversation occurred. I do not. I've only ever taken prescription drugs. Do you take medications? I take birth control and an antidepressant. Are you open about this publicly? I don't know if I've ever publicly mentioned being medicated, but I'm not trying to hide it. Okay. Well, Synni, I have good news for you. When the time comes, I've learned something and figured out how to shut down the fear-mongering and accusations of you threatening to kill Jack. You were drugged. This is like really the sort of... I mean, it's really bad already, don't get me wrong, okay? But this takes it to like another level. It's still bad to have a conversation and come up with ideas of defenses, but Kumo is crafting an argument out of nothing, giving it to Synnibear, and the sole purpose of that is not the pursuit of truth. It's, here's a story that's going to help you avoid trouble for this thing that's happened. Now, to be real with you, I don't really care about this threatening to kill Jack shit. It's a fucking retarded thing anyway. But if you are going to address it, you've got to do it honestly. And Kumo is suggesting to say something which Synnibear clearly does not think at this stage in order to get around getting in trouble for this.
There's also the whole hacking thing.
But how did they get it is the real question. So I've sent you some DMs which show that basically the way this group chat was obtained, the way this call was obtained, is basically, it's not a call, it's a real life conversation that was recorded on our phone actually. But the way they obtained it was because it was posted into the group chat between Synni and her friends after Synni was removed. Kumo then had Synni access Jack's computer, which was still in Synni and Jack's apartment, go on Jack's computer, download the Discord authentication token from her browser, take it back to Synni's own computer, put it into a program called Discord Chat Exporter, and then export the logs of Jack's group chat, along with any other chats that Jack may have had on Jack's account, if Synni so chose to. Obviously, no recording of any other conversations being downloaded, but could have been done, which is just hacking.
Was it one of Kumo's criticisms of Birdie and others that they didn't get law enforcement involved during the situation?
The GoFundMe is fraud, not because the funds are being used on not because they're spending the funds on stupid shit, right? It's because that they don't need all of the money, and they didn't even need to move out. That's why it's fraud. They weren't in any danger, so their reason for needing to move out and needing the money was false. Therefore, it's a fault. They're asking for money under a false pretense.
Strange to see such recklessness from someone who cares about the law. Also, I kind of don't know what he was thinking when he was doing this, because on one hand, yes, he has more DMs and evidence against Birdie, but then on the other hand, it could potentially damage his video, especially when Birdie made this tweet before all of this came out. The DMs are pretty wild, not gonna lie. But when compared to other Kumo statements, they become much more interesting. For example, he said that he is helping her take responsibility for her actions because what she did was a crime.
Oh, you helped her with the script. And what was the script in question? That I sent MRAL, but I tried to send you. It was the script in question was me helping her clear the air and set the record straight and then take responsibility for what she did. What she did was actually much worse.
But in the DMs, the idea of it being a crime was never pushed. It was grossly negligent and inappropriate and oversharing in interest. Kumo hops on Beckett's stream after Chud's stream ended where he spoke with Beckett, and then watched Jar's video.
Okay, so here's my read on those DMs from what I've seen of Chud going over them. And obviously I'm prepping for stream and everything else, so I'm just trying to get things there. My impression is that a lot of this is you trying to get Synni out of the way. Of where you want to go with the conversation about Birdie. That's my impression. I think your actual bias is that you want to stop the conversation about Synni to an extent, get it to fuck off so you can go at Birdie. And I understand why you want to do that. Because I've seen some of the shit with Birdie as well.
Yeah, I think I've been open about that.
Yeah,
I
don't think
I've
that's
been
hidden.
shouting that from the rooftops because it's never what people are interested in.
I still don't understand. Why don't we just go after Birdie? Also, a bias is still a bias. In the DMs, we see that Kumo is helping Synni with her response, which is fine, I don't have a problem with that. But his suggestions are heavily skewed and biased.
To address the being shared, honestly, I fucked up. I knew I shouldn't have done it, but Eno insisted, and I impulsively wanted to share about my interest. So saying no was hard, and I failed to. That's on me, I've learned the hard way now. I censored the screen caps of the explicit parts, not because I thought it would make it better, but because I don't want to send the explicit imagery to Eno. I understand how this looks bad at face value, but if you read our interactions, you would have noticed that I showed no interest in Eno while I was oversharing. I have no attraction to Eno, and sharing the comic was a mistake. But with that said, I know it will never happen again, because I'm done with friends. I've learned things I didn't think twice about the result of the company I kept. This is just you trying to work in anti-Birdie shit into your statement of Synni. That's literally, you're trying to literally place anti-Birdie / Jack shit in the Synni thing, because that's what you're going after. That's the point here, really, isn't it? And the thing is that it totally undermines the statement, because saying I'm done with friends is something that's obviously not true and pity-seeking.
I've acknowledged, I'd say the biggest thing I've walked back is I've acknowledged now that after seeing things that I neglected to invest my full attention into, I can totally I think it's totally reasonable that people are saying, oh yeah, this looks like grooming. I think it's not I don't think there's a cognitive dissonance when people are coming to that conclusion. I just think it's technically on a very technical and important level very incorrect to use that, because like I said on Chud's stream, it's like trying to put a band-aid on a fucking bullet hole. It's like, it's so easy to just call her a and leave it at that, but there are clearly more underlying issues. Like,
do you
her
think
not
that
talking to
Synni-
kids is going to solve this. Or we call her a pedophile so people hide their kids.
Well, I mean, okay, but at some level, her not talking to kids does solve a problem, because I can accept that
It does
Synni
solve
is
a problem,
human
but it
being,
doesn't solve
but
the
like,
full. It doesn't solve the full problem, though. That's what my issue is.
So what do you think the full problem is?
I think calling it what it is so that people can be more like alert and aware. Like when you just hyper focus it onto kids, you're leaving the door open. Like she could clearly like do this to adults who don't consent. Like that's the importance of it. So it's like when you're so fixated on saying, oh, kids, because we just want to ruin her reputation and call her a pedophile rather than actually like caring about the subject, I think it's objectively more harmful, because if it's just kids, yes, naturally adults are not going to want to hang out with her. But what about like the adults that do, right? Well, those people are also on the table, because it's not specifically like kids that she's a danger to. It's everyone and herself.
But isn't the whole point that it was with a child? Synni's problem was never a consent one, because she had that in the DMs. Her problem was the fact that she was talking to a 14-year-old and had no filter.
Not what she doesn't even once ask fucking Eno what she's interested in or what her sexuality is. In fact, Eno is like fucking reciprocal and even like mutually having these discussions with Synni. Synni is very clearly socially inept, like absolutely socially retarded, and probably doesn't have a good enough filter or sense to understand that like this is wrong.
Plus, you also said that Synni wasn't a danger to anyone on your previous streams.
I think just looking at it two-dimensionally and saying like, oh, well, you shared inappropriate content with so-and-so, and that's just wrong. It's like, well, correct, but there's definitely more nuance to it, right? There's definitely more like, if you give it a thought, it's not like anyone was in danger, and it's not like anyone was like being like creepy. It's just like, it's just humor, you know? Whereas in this case, yeah, they don't really get the excuse of humor. It definitely was like inappropriate, but I wouldn't say like this, like Synni's like a danger to kids. I wouldn't say Synni's a danger to anyone even.
But do you think that also creates a false hope that there is a community that she can belong to that is going to in some way be a comeback?
I specifically have like been very clear with her. And I told you in private, I was like, I paraphrased what I said, and I'll paraphrase it again. I told Synni, like myself, like my words directly out of my mouth in a call with her, that I don't think it's in the cards for her to come back to content creation. And I said, I don't even think it's a good idea for her to stay on social media.
Now that is interesting, because on your stream, you believe something different.
I just think it's generally speaking, especially for someone as like socially inept, and like I've actually recommended to her that she get an autism assessment. Like someone like Synni, this socially inept, I don't think it's fair to tell her like she has to get off like the internet and social media. I think if she has a suppressed and suppressed and maybe a like I guess better moderated presence, like that it's like 18 plus for sure. We know that it's 18 plus, and we're getting on it and making sure that she's not even giving people like the weird vibes anymore. I think that's appropriate change. Like she's already in therapy, you know what I mean?
I'm not going to touch on the second half of the stream, but this is where Kumo finally decided that Synni wasn't worth defending anymore.
Kumo, final thoughts.
I think I'm gonna try and get a call with Synni and record that and just put that out and kind of like lay out my grievances, and then I'm probably gonna block Synni. Oh my god, I don't have fucking patience anymore. Like, I know I definitely should have like paid more attention.
Now this is a good one. So near the end of the DMs, you can see that they kind of stopped talking to each other.
And then he says, "Sweetheart, I've just heard Jar's video, which includes the interview you did with him. It's going to reflect extremely poorly on you, and I tried my best to warn you." So there you go. That is the end of the DMs, the end of the export there.
That's because Kumo and Synni had this bridge-burning call that Romantic Goblin then posted for some reason. I guess for more transparency. Please keep in mind that Kumo has always believed that people like Synni need people in their corner so they don't fall into degeneracy and go commit more acts of crime. So the reason for Kumo leaving Synni has to be a really good one, or he's gonna look like an insane hypocrite. Spoiler alert, they suck. So Kumo watched Jar's video on stream with Beckett, specifically the interview he had with Synni. And now he is upset that Synni went to Just a Robot to help him make a video after being told not to, and when interviewed, said things to him that were different to the things she was saying to Kumo.
Well, since the moment you got in contact with Jar, you have had a completely different attitude with me, Barry, Goblin, Evan, anyone else you've spoken to in our group, our support group for you. You've had a completely different attitude from what you said in that interview. In that interview, you were not the anxious, paranoid, remorseful Synnibear. You were the Synnibear who's like confident and making steps towards repairing her career, rather than bettering herself and making sure she doesn't make the same mistakes again. That's who you were in that interview, and that's not who we've been talking to. And when you make comments like you didn't realize this was an issue until now, it only further confirms to us, and you even trying to double down also confirmed to us that you didn't believe a single word you were saying to us. You were just giving us lip service. So, like, excuse me for caring, and excuse me for biting the bullet, but I'm being told by everyone I know that you were just using me. And I feel inclined to believe it, considering you've lied so much. Synni, I don't even think you've been genuine with me once.
The problem with this is that Kumo, and yes, I am repeating myself, but Kumo has many times said that Synni is the socially inept, easily susceptible person, which is the reason why it was so easy to catch her in what he believed was a gay op.
Why not? Synni's the easiest person to gay op on the planet. How is this unbelievable?
How are they the easiest person to gay op on the planet?
Because she's extremely fucking socially retarded, and she makes herself vulnerable to the most obviously malicious people.
So he is now surprised that this easily susceptible weirdo gravitates to another YouTuber that wants to defend her and tells her everything she wants to hear. It's kind of like if someone was trying to quit drugs, so you decide to help, but then they go do drugs, so you drop them immediately because they weren't able to instantly change. And because of the crime of talking to Jar, Kumo just goes ballistic.
I told you what position you were in, and I was very conscious and scared on your behalf because of what position you're in. Jar could have you, and that's probably what he was trying to, that was probably his dream, his end goal. How could he get caught in a cheating scandal or dumped by his girlfriend if nobody will believe it ever happened? And I could believe that. Because the fact that you actively ignored my very rational and helpful advice and went to fucking just a rapist. Do you understand, Synni, that you are in, the perfect position for him to take advantage of you? Why would you say no to him?
I didn't realize that.
Why would you say no to him, though? He was your savior. He gave you false hope. You didn't think, oh, something's up. I should probably not talk to him. You thugged it out. You powered through it. And I bet he would have graped you and you would have stayed quiet about it.
Okay,
so long as it meant your fucking career was fixed.
I disagree with the whole Kumo was trying to get with Synni thing because the messages just don't read like that to me, but this does sound like a breakup call. One thing I'd like to point out is that Kumo during the Beckett stream was very uneasy about Synni being so giddy about coming back to YouTube because Kumo didn't want to give her false hope like Jar was doing.
I know.
Okay. I'm starting to have a revelation. The more I hear her speak, the more I'm realizing she's conflating coming out of this alive, meaning coming out with her career fixed. Because I don't know how many times I have to tell her that she can move on. She has a personal life detached from this internet drama that she can go back to.
He then berates Synni because she said that she understood that she didn't have a chance on YouTube, but then told Jar that she wanted her channel, showing that she lied.
And you don't even try to lie to me. You only talked to Jar and continued contact with Jar because he told you what you wanted to hear and I didn't. You lied to me saying that you understood that it was probably not in the cards for you to get your fucking YouTube career back. You said you understood that. And yet with Jar behind the scenes, because he was giving you this false hope, you had a different face on with him entirely. That's why I'm upset at you, Synni. That's why I no longer want to be your friend, and that's why I no longer want to help you. Because you won't fucking help yourself.
If we take a look at the DMs, however, we find this little message.
When more people have talked about it, perhaps public opinion is more in my favor. By then, my brain should be healthier. Mayhaps, Synni, but the future isn't entirely certain. I wish I had the gift of foresight, but my knowledgeability can only help us plan so much. We're going to have to stop and reevaluate as time goes on, but trust that my intentions will remain the same. I want you to be healthy. I want you to change your life around and become better than the F-slurs that are trying to burn you. YouTube may not be an option for you, but we'll just have to see how it goes. Like Pyrocynical came back for fuck's sake, and he's perfectly flourishing. What he did is objectively predatory, and he got away with it. So in theory, you could have a chance. But you can be a bit dense, which isn't entirely your fault. So you should probably have friends to pull you back when you're about to overstep. Right now, you're prone to overstepping. You're just a girl, :3.
So the focus might have been to better her life, but the idea that he outright told her that it wasn't in the cards was not necessarily true. It's not to the extent of Jar, but Kumo is somewhat to blame for giving Synni this impression that everything will be okay career-wise.
I think, actually, Barry put it best. I think you were using us for comfort. And Beckett suggested that you were using me, and I kind of believe him with how badly you wanted me to do that stream and then how you reacted poorly after I did it. But Evan suggested to me that you only wanted me to take the fucking brunt of it when you were under the most fire.
Firstly, Kumo was literally there to provide comfort, and that is what he did for the majority of the DMs with Synni. Secondly, Synni didn't want you to do the stream. She wanted you to get the stream over with while you wanted her to watch it live for no reason.
You somehow made yourself a victim in that, because I said the ideal outcome is that you make IRL friends and you don't need us anymore.
Well, no, you said it was ideal for her to get friends in real life, so you wouldn't have to talk to her anymore.
Ideally is she gets like real IRL like friends, and she has like an actual circle that's like far removed, all adults, everyone's mature. Maybe they're like more well adjusted than she is, preferably. And then I don't have to talk to Synni anymore. That actually is very ideal. I don't want anyone to think like, oh, Kumo genuinely wants like a long lasting, meaningful friendship with Synni.
Which is strange to say because in the DMs with her, Kumo's pretty friendly and never gave the indication that his friendship was finite. The main reason why Kumo is done with Synni is because Synni was on a call with Eno, the 14-year-old, having her read the comic to her to get her reaction.
I want to bring up something because Himpleton brought it to me and Barry's attention, and we brought it up to Kumo sort of, about Eno, and it's one of the things like, you didn't really tell us this part, you had Eno read out the fucking rape comic in VC?
Like the dialogue. I didn't think to mention it. It just didn't seem like a...
All the questions we were asking you about you needing to be 100% honest about what was, like, damning and shit.
I mean, I didn't even think about it.
It makes literally no sense for Kumo to drop Synni for this reason. It is obvious that she enjoys seeing the reactions of Eno, seeing how she would make tons of art about these scenarios, and send other roleplay scenarios she had with other people for her to see because she wanted her reaction. Kumo already knew that there were phone calls between Synni and Eno because Eno didn't feel like typing.
Oh, Synni told us that a lot of these messages where it seems very one-sided, if you look in the corner, these two were in call together. Yeah, so they were in call for like hours, and Synni didn't want to like wake anyone up or like bother anyone, and so that's why she was typing in chat. But I think it's safe to assume that these guys maybe called somewhat frequently, 4 hours every other day.
Technically, Kumo could have figured out this information if he had read the DMs because it says clearly that Eno started a call while she was sending the pages. Nothing Synni says is different than how she felt or how she acted in those DMs. This was just another instance of the same stuff she was already doing.
Hey Kumo, does knowing that fact change anything for you?
Yeah, quite a bit. Because that's, like, literally asking her to engage in your fetish.
It was mostly just, like, being able to, like, hear what her reaction was.
Oh! Okay. No, we're done. We're done.
That makes no sense. Eno was already engaging with Synni's fetish in the DMs. The only difference is that now they were talking to one another instead of chatting. Now, this might be a stretch, so tell me if I'm wrong, but I think the issue Kumo ran into is that being a groomer or a predator or whatever he's claiming requires intent. But when he is looking for that intent, it must be directly stated by the person, which is obviously dumb because intent isn't so clear-cut. In the debate stream, he argues about this Breakup guy, and I know nothing about his history, but Kumo talks about how Breakup stated outright his intentions in the drama, which is why he was comfortable putting the label on it.
Yeah, you see, like, with the Breakup thing, too, like, there was actual intent. Like, the guy just straight up said, I would totally bang a 15-year-old.
Yeah,
like,
if he didn't have a job... Oh my... I'm gonna fucking kick that dog. If he... Like, he said if he didn't have a job, and if he wasn't so busy, he would, like... He would do something with this fucking kid. And then we're gonna sit here and try and dispute the nuances and how I wasn't this charitable to him. And I'm like, dude... There was no fucking intent with Synni, and it's very obvious. Like, it's just so... Oh my god, these people are so fucking bad faith. And then I think I'm guessing that's the part you were saying you were spragging about, was when you compared it to Breakup. Because, like, Breakup had intent.
I think you do have a little bit of a double standard. Just a bit.
Well, with Breakup, we had DMs of him saying he had interest and he would have done some shit with this kid. Versus, like, Synni was just gooning about a fictional character.
Now we look at the Synni drama, and Synni is engaging in her fetishes with Eno through text and trying to get her reaction. But Kumo doesn't see any groomy or predator behavior. Then he finds out that one of the many times she does this, one of them was on a call, which now checks off the intent box in his head, even though the intent was always there and no new information was presented.
My, new realization was just that it shouldn't be for anyone, honestly. That... I thought the way I thought was just normal. I thought that, it was normal to talk to people the way I did.
Okay, question. So
at first I thought it was just the issue of me talking to a minor like that, but I'm realizing I shouldn't be talking to anyone like that.
Wait, so Synni.
No, Synni. You knew it was an issue. Because we told you this is beyond just kids. And this is what I've been saying vehemently from the rooftops, that it's beyond just kids. You are a danger to not only yourself, but everyone around you. Men, women, children, maybe even animals. You're a danger to everyone around you. You have problems that are much deeper rooted than what everyone is saying they are.
You want to hear something funny? One of Kumo's big points was that Synni was taking the things that Birdie was saying and using that as her judgment. Birdie tells her that she is a groomer, so she parrots that and admits it.
She explained to me that she is very clearly a social retard. I believe it too, that she all of her understanding of anything to do with psychology or even sex crimes came from Birdie, and Birdie's the person that accused fucking Kitty Dog of grooming. I think it was something about a 14-year-old grooming a 13-year-old or some stupid shit.
Right.
So off the rip, any claims of grooming from Birdie I had to be skeptical about.
Kumo does the exact same thing by implanting the idea that she's a danger to everyone, which is something he didn't believe himself until recently.
It definitely was inappropriate, but I wouldn't say this Synni's a danger to kids. I wouldn't say Synni's a danger to anyone even. Even after you've been fucking parroting what I said, you went completely mask off. Because nothing you said to me, none of the nodding along that you did, none of the supposed epiphanies you had that I helped you realize what was actually going on by talking about it and challenging it and questioning it, none of that was real.
Right. It's just... I don't know.
And you didn't realize this was an issue until now, but you have parroted the fact that you were normalized to it from a young age. And that you still have some responsibility, but it might not entirely be your fault that you've just been misguided. And you've actively fucking said that. And you're telling me now you didn't... you're a fucking liar, Synni. You're a liar.
And here he does it again. He's upset that the weirdo groomer did what the weirdo groomer always did. She parroted Birdie's grooming label without understanding what it meant. She's now parroting your prescriptions without understanding it. But now Kumo is telling her things that she needs to parrot and getting mad for her doing what she has always done.
But the parts that were problematic were specifically things that I would care about, and I didn't catch that. I didn't catch that because I was so focused on the guy I already didn't like. And the guy that I was already concerned was going to, like, try and do shit to you.
I wonder who pointed out this bias of being so blinded by hatred of Jar that it could be a bad thing.
So I'm keeping I guess what might be interpreted as a bias.
Because, just to lay my cards on the table a bit, right? Let's be I totally upfront about this. Like, you sent me the DMs between Synni and Just a Robot, right?
Yeah.
So what was your motivation for doing that?
Oh, because Jar's a fucking liar.
So is your, opinion on Jar affecting how you're dealing with this too, perhaps?
Yeah, but I don't think that's inherently a bad thing, because I knew Jar was, trouble the moment he tried to reach out to Synni.
And by the end of this, he's just mask off. Doesn't care about making sure Synni doesn't off herself or calling her a groomer, which I think it's funny. The cringe part is how we got here.
I am sick. I have a knot in my stomach, knowing that I tried to help you, and you actually are a predator. There was intent. And drive your ass down to the police with only your device, only your cell phone and your laptop. Turn that in, say that this is evidence, I have committed a crime.
I said I wanted to get better.
You want to get better, and you want to do right by the people that you've wronged. So turn yourself in. I am in full agreement of the wood chipper with what I know now. You just want to continue doing YouTube. You want to go back to doing YouTube. You want things to be normal again, or feel normal again.
I don't want the bad things to happen again.
You don't want to get caught again?
No, I don't want to hurt people.
You're going to. I'm no expert on the prison system. Okay, I'm no expert on rehabilitation. Okay, I don't know how it works for women who diddle kids or women who try to groom children. I don't know what happens to them in there. You're honestly gonna have to do your own research.
You are a pedophile. You do know that, right?
I don't think that.
Well, I'm telling you that you are. We were wrong.
Oh yeah, nice one. What a great own. No, it's not a bad idea to upload this call at all.
I think what really, what really set me off was, Synni saying she wanted Eno's reaction. She wanted Eno to like it.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what completely shifted my opinion.
Why? It was the same stuff. This intent was there from the start, even from the original Google Doc, especially in the fully exported DMs you had access to.
And I saw a video of people complaining, saying that I'm conceding to being wrong, but I'm blaming everyone else. And it's not I'm wrong, but so are you. It's unironically, had people just stuck to the facts instead of angrily Wojak pointing to she sent this to a kid, and had we just laid out the facts and just been critical from the beginning, I wouldn't have been as skeptical.
Why are you letting idiots decide what you do next?
Summarize your argument with something that you didn't necessarily say, but kind of what I've gathered is that the intention was extremely, extremely important to you in this situation. And so when you were clear with what the intention was and what kind of was behind that is when you were comfortable making a decisive cutoff. Am I right with that?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely correct.
But the intention was always there, and I don't know how the intent became more clear because you now know that Eno read the comic to Synni aloud.
Before I got information, that information about the intent, her intent, where she just fucking self-reported, my issue before that, because this was just the icing on the cake, was that she clearly didn't believe she needed to change, and she didn't want to change.
I mean, I can kinda see why she felt that way. You come in telling her that the main claims against her, grooming and predatory behavior, are bogus. You also nail it in the head that sure, what she did was bad, but the entire community she was a part of also engages in that behavior. You boil it down to oversharing and talking about Joe Smo down the street. You kept the idea in her head that she could come back, and then Jar came and boosted it tenfold. Now to be clear, I obviously don't hate Kumo. This was just really, really funny to watch all play out. Kumo, after all of this went down, privated his YouTube channel and Twitter. I don't know why he did this when many of the bigger content creators like Chud and Queeman liked him a lot and thought it wasn't too late for him.
Very good. In terms of this Synnibear stuff though, like what do you think he should do to
that's
not look like he looks
How do I
now?
make money off depressed people?
Probably just say fucked up, didn't read the messages properly.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Say he was being malicious towards Birdie and let that get the better of him, and then just make an actual video about something that people give a fuck about instead of just ratting around the Discord all day every day.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like, it just seems like such a small thing in the grand scheme of things. Just put out a video going, I fucked up with this, right? And it's like you can't do it. It feels like.
I don't know. I don't get it.
I don't really care if he comes back or not, but it does kinda suck that we don't get that Birdie video he's been teasing us about. Like, if everything he said has been true, then this Birdie person sucks, but no, instead of making that video, we had to go on the Synnibear arc. One of Kumo's biggest problems was that he got too close to the case, which, yeah, obviously, but it's still true. The points Kumo were making were a lot more reasonable when we were just talking about the document. Then he got access to the full logs, and that grooming point became harder to defend. He also should have stopped talking and made the Birdie video. A video like this one can't be made if Kumo has like one stream where he fleshed out his opinion, but we have debates and call-ins, and it becomes easier for earlier points to clash against the newest points. But that's pretty much all I got for this video. There's a lot of other stuff I didn't cover, like the copyright strikes or the other leaks that came from this situation. I just wanted to keep it short and simple and pump this video out as fast as possible. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. I hope I made your day a little less boring, and I'll see you in the next video.